You may be thinking, what is design? Why this design class? And you may have some expectations on what you or what we're going to cover. So I just want to talk to you about a few things. So this is design. Good design can make a difference, but great design can change the world. So just to you're probably thinking this is a little bit about art, but think about these logos. You look at these, there's so many things wrapped around these logos. And this is where great design is changing the world. So let's just take a look at the iPhone and think of how integrated the iPhone and smartphones are into our lives. I mean, it's just crazy how these devices, basically computers that we've put in there, and then just think about the other things that Apple has done through design that is making a statement and changing people's lives. So here's the iPad. If you've got one, this is also a great tool. But all of these things, they're designed to help improve our lives and do other things. And so this is where great design really will change the world. So now we may be thinking about art here, but there's also other great designs throughout history that have made a difference. So all of these, if you look at these things, you know where these places are because of the iconic designs that have been set up. And so now we may think of designers as artists, but here is a group of designers. Well, obviously Rembrandt here in the middle, he's an artist, but these other four gentlemen, and we're going to have to move that a little bit so you can see Edison a little bit better. But so you probably know who Gutenberg is, but why have I included Michael Faraday? Well, Michael Faraday is one of the forerunners in the basically making electric generators, and we know how electricity has affected our lives. Then you may never have heard of Henry Bessemer, but he developed a process to better refine steel, and so things like the steam engine, the engines that we enjoy today in our cars. This guy was a key figure in making a lot of what's happening in our lives possible. And then Edison, Edison and the electric lights. But all of these guys were designers, and all of the things that they designed changed the world. So now in this class, we're going to focus more on art. And so I'm going to talk about artists that may have changed the world or are in the process of changing the world. This is Banksy. I don't know if you've heard, look up Banksy. This is one of the things that he did in Park City. Now it's got a whole mural around it, or some protective covers around that. But let's take a look at some of what. So this is some of the. These are some of, and I don't actually know if this is Banksy, but this is inspired by Banksy. So he would take things like this, and you can see there's some other designs here along that same lines where they're kind of pulling back the art. So, and then, then there's these other ones, and this isn't exactly what he did, but he's inspired these ideas. Now there's some of these other things where he's done this, where he's kind of changed our mind about how art is communicating with us. Here's another one. This is one. This type of art is helping us think about what's going on. Here's another Banksy picture. He's asking the question: what are we doing here with these things? And hopefully, this is changing the way we think about art. So, this is Design Art 1120. We're get my slides out of order here. So this is design, and so we're losing our focus here. So I am D. Gardner. I am the instructor for this class. And so we will cover art, but what I want you to think about is during this design, uh, during this design process is what we're talking about in this class. Oh, that's not the one. So this is Design Basics. It's the book, and then we're going through this process, and it starts off with, okay, this is the design process, and this is thinking, and I'm going to equate this with planning, looking, and this is where we're looking for inspiration. And the doing, this is where we experiment, and then once we get it to a certain point, then we're going to critique and evaluate. So this is the process that they talk about in this class, and we will focus on art in this class. And so we've got these design. First off, we're going to start with design principles. We're going to cover 1 week on each of these: unity, emphasis, and focal point, scale and proportion, balance and rhythm. Now, all of this is could be considered a language that we are discussing in this class. And so then there are elements of design, but I really want everyone to think about this as we go through each project. We're going to go through this design process. Now, you can use this same design process, not just for art, but with any challenge that you're facing in your life or anything that you're trying to do, that we need to go through this design process. So remember, we're going to talk about these principles. This is relative to art, but how can we relate these into other design opportunities in our lives? And then here are these elements of design. So I think one of the critical points in this is the inspiration. And so I love this quote from Picasso that said, "Inspiration exists, but it has to find its working." Now, what I think is important in this class is we need to find a way each week to get into a routine where we are working on design. And so this is from a book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and he says it in there. And I would recommend this book, whether you have time during this semester or after the semester, but read this book because it applies to what we're talking about with the design principles. But he says here, by performing the mundane act of sitting down and starting to work, will set in motion a mysterious but infallible sequence of events that would produce inspiration. So the design process that we're talking about for art or for anything else is a process, and it requires that we do work. So don't put off your assignments in this class till the end of the week, but think about this. You don't actually need to be sitting down and writing something out, but you do need to take some time, and I would say some quiet time, to sit and reflect on what you're trying to do. And it may only be a couple of minutes, but you need to sit and think about, do the thinking process here before, remember, we're going to start out with the thinking. And so this will help with the design. This thinking and planning will help with the design process. The better that we get at this thinking and planning version, the easier the inspiration will come, and the more we will create during the experimenting process, and the better our final product will be. So this is a process that we need to think about during this class and throughout your life as you sit down, as you think and you plan to how you're going to try to accomplish what you're trying to do. So I look forward to getting to know all of you this semester, but one of the things I'm going to focus on is do the work, get in a routine, just like we're talking about here. You sit down, you get into this process, I'd say every day, and the inspiration will come and your design process will become easier. And that's what we're trying to do in this class, is to help with your design process.